Oh, greetings, dearly beloved. Praise the name of the Lord. It is the time of the year again. It's the time for festivities. It's the time for celebration. It's the time to be excited. Life comes in seasons. Events come with a reason. Men come in sizes, but I believe that the size of a man is determined by his faith capacity. Shalom, my name is Stephen Aryitey. I am Senior Pastor of Faith Fellowship in Worcester, Massachusetts, 25 High Street. I am your friend in faith, and I bring you this word from the throne of grace. The word of the Lord this morning is from 1 Samuel chapter 17, verses 49 through to 52. David put his hand into his bag and took out a stone and slung it, and it struck the Philistine on his forehead. The stone penetrated his forehead, and he fell face down on the ground. So David triumphed over the Philistine with a sling and a stone, and he struck down the Philistine and killed him. But there was no sword in David's hand. So he ran and stood over the Philistine, grasped his sword and drew it out of its sheath and killed him, and cut off his head with it. When the Philistines saw that their mighty champion was dead, they fled. This morning I want to avert our minds to a couple of things. The Bible talks about a situation where Israel is at war. Israel has become immobilized, paralyzed by fear by a Philistine giant called Goliath. Scholars are in contention about the name Goliath. Some say his name means exile, some say his name inconspicuous, exposer. But I believe that Goliath represented the ability of a demonic power to rape the bride of Christ, the bride of God. Israel was God's bride, God was the groom. But interestingly, Goliath was standing between the bride and the groom. And the bride could not see the glory because the groom's ability to touch the bride was being affected by a giant. In comes this young man called David, and he's a young man who is also looking to come to his next level in life. The Bible says that David decides that he will go against the giant, because unknown to David, in the orchestration of God, in the mind of God, David must defeat the giant to come into the limelight. Listen to me, dearly beloved. Life is a masterpiece of art. God has drawn a portrait of you, and he has torn the pieces aside and put it all together, put it down for you. And it's become a jigsaw puzzle. But the jigsaw began with a painting, with a full portrait that was ripped apart. And now you must put it together again. In the seasons where you are trying to figure out where the jigsaw goes, the master planner, the designer, the artist, the grand master who put it together knows exactly where each piece must fit. David is ready for promotion, he's ready for elevation, but a giant is standing in his way. The Bible says that David must face the giant, but David is a man who has been born from a place where he has faithfulness in the call to his father's assignment. David has commitment, taking care of the sheep without fail. He has dedication to his cause. He is focused. He has an attitude of worship and gratitude. He is consistent, and above all, he is confident in the power of God. Why? Because by experience he knows that he can trust God. He knows that God will stand by him. He knows he has the grace to win battles, and he knows that preparation has prepared him for this event. The Bible talks about the fact that David had to kill Goliath twice. It says David killed him with a stone, then he drew his sword and killed him again. I believe it is a sign that the giant both has a physical and a spiritual component that had to be defeated. When David defeated his giant, he came into emergence. His destiny came into his hands. He came to his next level of being trained by the king as an armor bearer. You can only learn to be a king from a person who is a king. And eliminating the giant allowed David to come to his next level of progress. Beloved, I come to you this morning with a simple word. Any giant standing against you as this year comes to a close must fall. Because when the giant falls, you will come into the limelight. When the giant falls, you will be connected to kings, to men of authority who must prepare you for your next level. When the giant falls, you will be celebrated, not tolerated. When the giant falls, you will move from being a coward to being a champion. When the giant falls, you move from zero to hero. When the giant falls, you will gain the king's attention and favor. The nation shall celebrate you. I pray for you. May no giant contend with your destiny. May no man be bigger than your story. I pray that the God of heaven will grant you every grace that will enable you to overcome every obstacle. By two weapons, the sling and the stone, symbolic of your ability to use the power of God to harness it for good use, and by the sword, which is the word of the Lord, may you cut off the head of the enemy. May you prevail over the giant that oppose you, and may you possess what is yours and come into a place of divine elevation. Shalom, my name is Stephen Aryitey. In this season, remember, Christ is the reason. Go out there, be blessed, enjoy your life, progress, be uplifted, do great things, and never allow the giant to intimidate you or immobilize you by fear. Have a great day. Walk in faith and not in fear. I love you, and I will see you on the flip side. Bye-bye. You are the joy of the whole world.